You know, if I were to create a political party from scratch, it would be called the Mind Your Own Damn Business Party.
That leads me up to that current trial, the truckers' protest. You were one of the few people, and I'm saying it not because I'm a conservative or anything like it, but there were, you know, a great number of Canadians traveled a long, long distance to make a point. I don't think they burned anything down. I don't think they shot anybody. They didn't rip Ottawa's public buildings down or spray them with red paint. And yet Tamara Lynch, just to use her as an example, is in some ludicrously extended trial of mischief and talk of the slamming of that particular protest, to me, was a signal moment of the character of that government. Secondly, should this trial even be progressing, or was it a confection of politics that he used to start an election?
Well, speaking of a confection of politics, I don't think politicians should comment on ongoing trials.
I'll give you that.
But I will say that you can contrast all of what you just said with his treatment of demonstrably violent criminals who terrorize our communities. For example, under his bail reform, the same 40 offenders were arrested 6,000 times in the city of Vancouver. Okay, so these 40 guys, or I presume they were guys, this is right out of a letter from the BC Union of Mayors. These 40 guys committed 6,000 crimes. They hit 6,000 people over the head with baseball bats or stabbings or robberies. 40 of them, if you just locked them up, you could have 6,000 fewer crimes. But we have a prime minister who is allowing such rampant violence and disorder to run wild in many of our cities and towns. And yet, he's worried that you might say the wrong thing on the internet, so he has to censor you. He's decriminalizing crack, but banning plastic straws.
It's insane.
It really is incredible how radical this guy is. And that's why I think my message of common sense is so resonant with people across the political spectrum, whether they're New Democrats, Liberals, or Conservatives. They just say, let's get back to the common sense ideas that worked and made our country such a wonderful place for so many years.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it, folks.
That's right. And Pierre hit the nail on the head. Let's just get back to these policies that made Canada amazing.
Yeah, the funny thing is like, these things that Pierre is suggesting, they're not good ideas. Okay? And what I mean by that is that it's just common sense.
Yeah, it's the status quo.
These should not be, that's a good idea.
They're
no,
not radical.
It should already be in place, right? I've been in organizations like that where I suggest something and they say, that's such a good idea. I'm like, this is not a good idea. You should already be doing this. You know, lock up violent offenders. What a common sense idea. What a wonderful idea. But we're not doing it because this is Canada. This is Trudeau's Canada. But this is the thing. This is the point. People across the political spectrum are hearing this and they're nodding and saying, yeah, duh. Why are we not doing this?
I'm finding that through talks with parents and people who have children in school, I know that schools at that level is not federal, but we're all Canadians. What's going on in the Canadian school system that so many school boards, they present themselves as activists in what we, in some derision, refer to as the woke agenda, sexuality politics, ethnic politics, identity politics. These things have captured the entire attention of whole school boards who are very radical in pushing even against the arguments to it. I talk, in a sense like you, I have talked to so many parents in schools in Ontario. These are rich schools by any standard. And the parents say, we don't know what to do. If we could take, this is in Catholic schools, city school, if we could take our children somewhere else, they actually fear sending their kids to school because they don't know the ideologies or the political preferences that are now substituting for classroom instruction. It's a scandal. What do you think of it?
I think the school should get back to teaching reading, writing, and arithmetic, and we should let parents raise kids and transmit their values to children. And when Trudeau stepped in and stuck his nose in the policy decisions of Premier Scott Moe and Premier Higgs to restore parental rights, I told him he should butt out and let provinces run schools and parents raise kids. And that's what I believe. Parents should be able to decide, and parents should have obviously know what's going on in the lives of their kids.
But isn't that, again, one of the little index markers of where we are? The idea that schools and some principals, and certainly some school boards, not almost, with full arrogance saying, if young children come to us with one specific kind of problem, the sexual confusions that obtain, we think we should be able to keep it to ourselves. Where did they get the gall to say that they're superior to the parents?
Not from me.
I know it's not from you, but they get support from a lot of quarters. And how is that stopped? This is not a made-up thing.
We have to respect parental rights, and I stand for parental rights.
And you have to,
because I trust parents to make the right decision for their kids, and I know that parents this is a key area where Justin Trudeau and I just disagree. He believes that he should be able to impose his radical ideology on other people's kids by demanding provinces implement his thinking and calling anyone who disagrees, whether they're Muslim, Jewish, or Christian parents, hateful. And so I think he should butt out and let parents raise kids.
Okay, so this is where a lot of you are probably saying, why doesn't Pierre say X? It's because he can't.
He hasn't won the election yet.
Well, it's also a provincial matter. He can't.
That too.
He can't. He is trying to respect the office that he is, A, occupying, and B, wants to occupy. The fact that Trudeau has disrespected that office and has butted in to provincial matters when he should not, that's on Trudeau. But Pierre can't negate that by also doing something that he's not supposed to do.
That he's criticizing Trudeau of doing.
Right. So he's saying, butt out. And he's being very careful here in saying that he believes that parents should be raising their kids. He's not commenting on the school system because he can't. That's a provincial institution. But he can say what he thinks about that, and he can say what he thinks about Trudeau, which is exactly what he did. So I know it's frustrating to hear, but he can't. It opens him up to so many attacks, hypocrisy or not, but so many attacks from the NDP, from the Liberals, from the Bloc, from everybody else. This is why he cannot say what you want him to say. What he did is he said basically the most that he could.
Last question on that. The other thing about the agenda that is in the schools, and I have too much information not to be completely solid on it, is displacing the function of the school. We are to train minds, teach people to write, read, and science, and also some of the social virtues. But identity politics pursued with an intensity, it overwhelms everything else. And if you haven't gone to the right washroom, or if you said the wrong word to the wrong person, suddenly this is it. I don't see a month dedicated to arithmetic, a month dedicated to history, but 10,000 months for LGBT or some other foreign cause.
Well, listen, at the end of the day, I can't promise to fix that one.
No, I'm
running for Prime Minister, so I won't be able to fix educational problems. But I think we need to get back to common sense on all of these things. And, you know, like on these broader social questions, you know, if I were to create a political party from scratch, it would be called the Mind Your Own Damn Business Party. You know, people can make the decisions of who they marry, who they date, how they live their lives, but also how they raise their kids. And I think if we had governments at all levels that live and let live, that had a policy of live and let live, a true policy of live and let live, which ironically is what liberals used to say 25 years ago, then we would have so much more social peace, because people could make their own decisions and come to their own conclusions and raise their own families with their own values. And I think by and large, parents are human, they'll obviously make mistakes, but by and large, at the end of the day, parents and people will make the right decisions for their own lives and their own families. And that's why my role as a Prime Minister is not going to be to impose my values on other people. It's to get out of their faces and run a competent government. They want a government that can deliver a passport, not a government that runs their lives.
And there it is, folks. That is the platform in a nutshell. I want to get out of their way, mind my own damn business as the Prime Minister, and let people live their lives. The main problem that's going on with the left-wing ideology is it tells everybody, well, we want everyone to just be themselves. We want them to be free and be free to be themselves. If that's where it stopped, nobody would have a problem with that. But where it goes further is it says, we want everyone to be free, and we're going to tell you how that works, and we're going to tell you how to operate your lives in order to make that happen. And you must comply.
And if you don't comply, you're a bigot. If you don't comply, you're a bad person. You're the fringe minority.
If you don't comply, you're penalized and you're punished. Not by the legal system. Well, in some cases you are.
But you become a social pariah.
Right. It's the social justice side.
And that's not right. Again, it's dividing Canadians, and that's not what we need in this country. What we need is we need to learn to accept each other's differences, and we need to learn to work together, because we can do this. I know we can.
Of course we can. Everybody can. The thing is it's gotten really scary to speak up. And the identity politics playing left wing, they thrive on that. Well, they count on it.
And that's why we use the avatars.
That's why we've been using the avatars. Now, at some point, some people may say, well, you know, that means you're scared. Well, there's consequences. There's risk, and then there's consequences. So, at this point, this is the amount of risk we're accepting. But that might change in the future. And a lot of people are speaking up now. A lot of people. We're seeing it starting to change on social media, which is a really good thing. Really good thing. People have had enough.
People are becoming lions. And if you're not sure what I'm referring to, I'll leave that link in the description as well. Make sure you read that National Post article.
But now we understand why the Liberals ran to the mic. Because the concept that Pierre just laid out there, mind your own damn business, government gets out of the way of the average Canadian, lets them live their lives, gives them an affordable life, gives them a good job, gives them the freedom to live how they want without repercussion. That is completely opposite to what the Trudeau government wants, which is total government control on everything that Canadians do. It relies on the premise that Canadians are free to do whatever they want, as long as you agree with the state.
Well, and just as Pierre said, Trudeau wants two things. He wants a government that controls Canadians, and he wants to be the head of that government.
So I just have one thing to say to Gerritsen and the Liberals when it comes to Pierre's platform. Mind your own damn business.